When I was in high school, I was going through a pretty tough bout with some depression and some very intrusive thoughts, I'll say. I was a sophomore. And my teacher at the time, who was also my swim coach, he was like, I like sounded off on him, and he was like, okay, Toussaint, you know what, you should go down to the counselor's office. And I was like, counselor, what? I ain't going to no principal's office. And he was like, no, somebody to talk to. I was like, oh, okay, counselor, huh? Okay. And so I go down to the counselor's office. and I went down and I met with this person and spoke to them. And I had never done that in my life. And that counselor then, I'd have weekly check-ins, and it was basically therapy. And there I was, 16, 15-year-old doing therapy. And it was amazing. It was that's where everything kind of came together for me, and the understanding of myself. And that's kind of what this vlog is about. That counselor then put me into a group with several other students and called it the highly sensitive student group. And I'll never forget this, because immediately I was like, highly sensitive? What'd you just call me? What'd you just say to me? And the counselor was like, so how do you feel about that? And I'm like, I feel pretty, resistant to it. And they were like, okay, well, just come down if you want to. And, in looking at it now, it's like, of course you were resistant because you're a sensitive person. But going into that group, it was life-changing, because you were able to see people and stories and lives outside of your own that felt just as deep, just as intense, just as angry, just as happy, just as elated, just as woeful, just as joyful as you have. And when you kind of come to discover you're a highly sensitive person, you begin to believe that, oh man, shame was like the first feeling. It's like right away. It's like, oh, I need to hide this. I gotta figure out some way to like mask this so they never find out that I'm a highly sensitive human. And in doing that, you end up denying yourself of some of the greatest things about you, and that's the ability to feel deeply and really, be present in a moment, and also hurt to a profound level, and also be able to understand and empathize to a profound level, and listen at a profound level, and be aware as well. And it's not to say that people that aren't highly sensitive are, can't do that. It's just the frequency of highly sensitive people, as I know it myself, it's happening all the time. And being aware of it was such an amazing understanding to have. It's like, oh, this isn't weird. This is normal amongst other people. Like, being highly sensitive is like a real thing. And we had it like, we did the March for Those Who Were Not Filmed about a week and a half ago. And after these marches, a lot of people have been discovering that, they're exhausting. Not just physically, like the sun's beating down and you've been walking and shouting, but they're exhausting in that they squeeze your spirit. They really drain your soul in a way, not drain the soul, but they exercise your soul in a way that it hasn't really been pressed upon. And so when you leave it and then you just start like breaking down crying because you've heard like, umpteenth story for the umpteenth time about, some brown or black body that was taken for no damn reason by the police. One, you can imagine how the families must feel. So that's one. And then two, it's the constant fear that anything could happen at any time. And showing up for these protests, your life could get taken at any moment. You can get taken right out of this living world for no good reason at just the drop of a hat. You never know what's going to happen. If a shot's going to get fired, if something's going to blow up, if a car's going to blaze through, if somebody's going to come out the car and start busting. Like, that happens. Like, I got a friend of mine that just went out to Portland one day out there, got his head busted up and thrown in jail. And so that, these are lives at stake, and you're putting your life on the line. And being a highly sensitive person in these realms is like, it's amplified even more, and you're like, oh my goodness. And so what happened to me is that some of the amplification got taken out of the march and into certain, just like, conversations with friends. And some of my friends were like, dude, you misinterpreted what I just said. Like, I'm like, no, I didn't. And it's like, wait, yes, I did. I'm still riding on 10 from the march that happened 9 days ago. And we want to think that, because we're out of there, we're good. We're not. You're still feeling it, you're still going through it, you're still processing it. And in therapy, it's a big thing we talk about is process. And processing emotions don't happen as quick as you think it does. It doesn't even happen as slow as you want it to. Or as quick as you want it to. Processing takes years. I mean, there are things that you're still going through you don't even know about. Your brain is still reacting. And how you are aware of that will determine how you process that. And I think being aware of what you're sensitive to. Some people are sensitive to like sounds popping off or certain colors or being around crowds. I know a lot of folks are sensitive to being around crowds, and that is just not their bag. And they go out there, and once they leave, exhausted. I don't want to see people for 18 days. All y'all get out now. And that's okay, but to understand that about yourself is powerful. And for me, in understanding that about myself, it's benefited beyond what I could imagine. And so once I know my limitations, soul-wise, physically, mentally, and spiritually, then I can remove myself and then reset and then come back, aware and of use for the march, of use for the community, of use to be able to serve other people. And so taking that time to recognize, yourself as a highly sensitive human being and what your limitations are will then make you, that'll help you to better serve your community. So that's the huge thing for me. So, I don't want to ask anybody to out themselves as a highly sensitive human being. I think that it's fine to leave it right there. If you have any experiences with that, let me know in the comments. Other than that, we'll see you in the next video.